And so, Zap, welcome to the call and excited to have you on. Zap is a top producing agent. He's an investor. He works in multiple states and he runs a team. And we're going to have a really good conversation today about just adding value to your real estate database, your clients, and how to grow your business in a really organic way, which is something that Zap has done really successfully over the last 5, 10 years plus. So Zap, welcome and thanks for being on.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I love this just format, right? Just to kind of chat through things and like you said, make it interactive, keep it interactive. I'm excited to share some of the things that have worked for me and my team, myself, both in California, outside of California, and in business and in real estate. So yeah, very excited.
Love it, man. Well, let's dive in. Just give everybody a little bit of background of just maybe how you got into the real estate business to begin with.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. And I think that is a great launch because when you talk about value, I meet a lot of realtors who are newer who say, "Hey, I just passed the test. I just got my license," and they can't offer much value. So I think I was a little bit fortunate because how I got introduced to real estate is at the time I was a police academy coordinator here in Southern California. So basically, I worked at a police academy supervising like the people who are teaching police officers. So I was like the principal of a school. Like if the police academy is a school, I'm the principal, and then the teachers are like training, first aid or firearms or driving or the law and stuff like that. I was a supervisor, but one of the people who joined the police academy, he was an investor. His name's Mike. Super nice guy, still an awesome guy, and met him. And he at the time owned a couple mobile home parks. He was flipping houses. He had his broker's license, and he was making about 50 to 150K per transaction. Like if he flipped a house, he would do that. So it was funny because I'm working for the government, right? And he's he's like super rich, and I'm like, man, that's crazy. And he just wanted to do something fun. Like he was almost bored,
Right.
like he just, well, let me do this police thing. It's gonna be fun. So I met him and I said, hey, I'm interested in what you got going. And here's the key. I said, how can I serve you? Like, what can I do to serve you? And he was like, no, thought about it. It's like, no one really asked me that question before.
Mm.
And the first thing he said was, well, I buy a lot of houses from the courtroom steps, which for those of you like, what do you mean courtroom steps? It's like basically auctions on court. And so he goes, my problem is, I sometimes we get these lists of houses that are coming available last minute, and I want to go check out the houses, but then I also need to be at the courtroom steps. So would you mind if I'm at the courtroom steps, like driving around, and I'm going to tell you what houses to go to, and you can like, knock on the door, see if there's a tenant there, if there's squatters there, take a look at the condition of the house, maybe take a couple pictures and text them to me.
Mm.
And I said,
Yeah.
sure. So, first I'd say a few weeks, I went out there, and again, he's not paying me, right? I'm just doing this to learn. I'm like a little intern, I guess, right?
Yep.
Well, driving to these different houses, taking pictures, knocking on doors, and sending him messages. And he'd ask like, okay, like take a picture of the electrical box, right? And I take a picture of the electrical box, and he goes, oh, that is Zinsco, that's trash. I was like, what is Zinsco? He's like, oh, it's the manufacturer. They make trash electrical. Like I'm learning as I'm serving him, right? I'm learning
Yep.
about houses. I'm learning about squatters. I'm learning about rules and laws and all these things over these weeks that I'm serving him, right? So I did this probably for about a year or so. And I did a bunch of other stuff because the more I did, the more he was like, you're useful and let me do more stuff. But my point is I got into real estate by basically serving someone who was doing what I wanted to do. Right? He was an investor.
Mm.
I was serving him. I wanted to be an investor. And I learned so much by just working for him and serving him. And he eventually started paying me. Like he was like, you're super valuable. And I know you're, using your gas and your time. And I want to give you money. So he started paying me. But that's how I got into real estate is I just served a guy who was a flipper, a owner, a mobile home park owner, an investor, a broker, and just started doing that. And then it kind of led up to my first purchase as an investor. Because for those of you who don't know, I did investing before I got my real estate license. So I was doing investing probably 5 or 6 years and decided to get my license after that.
Nice.
But that's how I got started. Yeah, Mike Chamberlain. So
So couple awesome takeaways there. One, you tried to add value first, right? A lot of times people they want to work with a referral source or work with a potential, like you said, a potential investor. They're always trying to think of like what's in it for me. But the approach you took of like, I'm gonna go serve first, and in serving, I'm gonna learn the game. And as I learn the game, then I'm going to be able to take incremental steps to go get into the business, which in your case meant probably doing your first house flip.
correct. Exactly.
Okay. And then from there, how did it transition into the realtor side of the business?
Yeah. So this was probably in 2000, like 10-ish when I was doing all of this. And then, or maybe 2009. And then I had learned and kind of, saw so much. And it's weird when you're learning, you almost don't realize how much you're learning until you look back at what you didn't know and then go, oh, wow, I didn't know any of that. Now I know all of this.
Right.
What happened is I would I guess mimic him, right? Like, so he's constantly looking at houses, constantly evaluating houses, and I found myself doing that. So it's almost like if you're, and I'm going to use Tesla because the Cybertruck is kind of new, but if you're looking to buy a Tesla, and you drive around the city, wherever city you're from, you're going to see Teslas all over the place. And you're like, oh, there's the white one, there's the black one, there's the red one. You're going to see it all around you. And what I started doing is I started looking at houses. I started again paying attention to where little things like I would pay attention to if the front door had more than 2 or 3 steps up to it, because I know that, oh, if you got 3 steps, you need a handrail. And I look at houses that didn't have handrails. I'm like, they don't have a handrail. They're gonna get called out on the inspection, right? I would look at houses that had, driveway space. I would look at again, I'd look at solar houses that had solar or not solar houses. I'd be looking at roofs. I'd be looking at eaves. I'd be looking at all these things just because I was around him the whole time doing that. And as I started doing that, and I would start talking to people about houses and about real estate and, hey, do you have anything that you want to sell? And so by doing that, naturally, I ran into my first opportunity to purchase a home, which happened to be out of state in Las Vegas. And
Mm.
this was in 2010, which was kind of after the crash. It was great. And they were listing it. It was a 2-bedroom condo. They were listing it for like $80,000. And after some negotiation, I was able to buy that for $42,000.
Wow.
So, so that was my first investment property, for $42,000 in Las Vegas, and I ended up selling that one. I want to say 4 or 5 years ago for like 200K or something. But after getting rents the whole time.
Yeah, that's a nice
That was,
return right
yeah,
there.
yeah, it's not bad, not bad. But yeah, but that's how it started. I just but my first little deal was there. And then it's weird when you do your first one, you're like, oh, this is doable, right? Like
Hmm.
I can do this, right? And so then I just keep looking and then talking to people and looking. And I found my second one, bought that one, found my third one, bought that one, fourth one, bought that one. I ended up meeting people who were investing all over the country, and I teamed up with a person who had one in Mississippi, so got one there. Ended up talking to a wholesaler who lives between here and Missouri, Kansas City area. So bought a duplex, triplex out in Independence. So it just started, and the more you do, the more comfortable you feel, and the more you learn, the more
Yeah.
comfortable you feel. And so again,
Yeah,
it,
most definitely.
it, it was it was getting out there and just doing it one at a time.
And then, so were you acting on these deals as the buyer and the agent? You were just kind of representing yourself at the beginning?
Yeah, good question. So I was actually all of these deals until 2017. I was only a buyer. I didn't even get my real estate license till about I want to say late 2016 or early 2017 is when I got licensed.
Okay.
And the reason I got licensed, kind of to answer that question, is I was doing all this, house investing and learning about houses and looking at houses, and I would have friends of mine from either former coworkers, neighbors, friends from I went to UCSD here in Southern California, so friends from college. They would say, "Hey man, I'm buying a house. Can you help me buy my house?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm not a realtor. I'm not even licensed." Like they're like, "But I see you do house stuff all the time. Like I see your stuff. I see you doing all this real estate." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have a license." And so enough people kind of just like, "Man, you need to get your license because I know you're good. Like I want you to help me. I don't want click on somebody online I don't know. I want, you're my friend or I know you. And so I kind of got, I don't want to say pressured, but I got kind of like encouraged, like get your license so that you can help your friends and your family and your coworkers. And so that's the reason I got my license is to
That's a
help.
very cool way to get in.
Yeah.
And so you're getting asked by all these people. You obviously take the leap, you get your license. Talk to me about how you started building your business.
Yeah, so when I got my license, it's kind of fun and embarrassing because I was so familiar with investment related transactions like cash purchases, 1031 exchanges, double closings, wholesales. I was very, very familiar with all of those things. And then, one of my first clients was in the military here in Southern California. And they said, "Oh, so can you tell me how this VA loan works?" And I'm like, VA what? Loan? I hadn't done a transaction, I hadn't maybe done like one or two transactions with a loan myself, because even I was trying to buy cash or just leverage with, hard money or whatever. And this whole loan concept of like an actual buyer who actually needs a loan. And that was all new to me. So I kind of
Mhm.
had to start kind of from scratch as a retail real estate agent, in 2018, learning about how regular people buy regular houses. And so I deep dived into classes. Like I took a lot of classes. I went to workshops and classes and try to learn and study. I would
Mhm.
ask, coworkers. I'd ask other people in the brokerage, hey, how do you do this, or can you walk me through this? And again, it's more of like how can I learn from you, but how can I help you? Like what? And a lot of it was kind of bartering. Like I would say, hey, can we hang out with an hour for an hour and I'll tell you how I bought my last out-of-state property and you can tell me how to work that FHA loan, or how you do an open house, or how you do these things
Yeah.
that very basic to I think most realtors. But for me, it was like, yeah, I hadn't hosted an open house, from the time my first purchase to the time I got my license, because I just never had to, or I never did that. So
Mm.
yeah, so just
Yeah.
a lot of learning, and again asking to be a resource, and again kind of a, like I said, bartering or trading,
I
teach.
like, and it comes back to like adding value first, right? That's what I'm picking up on. Like you were adding value at the beginning to that original investor. Now you're adding value to people around you, trying to learn the real estate business. And then one thing I've noticed you doing over the years is you've really been able to grow your business in a really organic way. Like you don't spend a ton of money on advertising, you're not buying a ton of leads, you're not doing any of that. So let's talk about that. Like, how do you generate business? And then I want to kind of roll into the like unique selling propositions and things like that.
Okay, great. Yeah. So as a newer agent, I actually took some notes here. As a newer agent, uh, even though I was familiar with real estate, I was still new to being an agent. And so one of the ways to, this is kind of for all new agents out there, is to be valuable. So, for example, when I first got started, I lived in the 92115 zip code in San Diego, which is kind of San Diego State area, college area. And so what I would do is on weekends, I try to go to as many as possible. I try to go to like 5 or 10 different open houses. And at the open houses, I would, meet whoever's hosting the open house. I would ask them a set series of questions I had, like, how did you get the listing? And if they were like, I'm not the listing agent, I'm just hosting. Oh, do you know how the listing agent got the listing? How did you hear about the open house? How did you come up with a value to list it? What activities and things are in the area that you would tell families that they should know about, whether it's schools or churches or hospitals or activity places, right? I'd ask these questions, and I would do this process. Again, I try to go to 5 to 10 open houses a weekend and just learn from people as a new agent. And it helped me in a few ways. One is I got to meet a lot of agents, right? I just got to meet a
Yeah.
lot of realtors, and most realtors don't meet a lot of realtors, sitting in their living room on the computer just looking at houses. So I got to get out of the house and meet a lot of realtors. Two, I got to see a lot of houses. So what would happen is when I was hosting an open house, again as a newbie, and people would come in the house and say like, oh, this, kitchen's really nice. I could say, yeah, I've actually been in like 50 different kitchens in this zip code, and this one is one of the nicer ones. Or, oh yeah,
Mm.
and 50 different backyards, and it's this one's nice because this has a view. Most of the houses in this area don't have this view, right? I could kind of comment on nuanced things about different houses because I had been in so many houses. And that was something, and again, we'll get into the unique selling proposition, but that was something that made me stand out from other realtors because obviously
Yeah.
when people come to visit open houses, they talk to realtors, and most people who are buyers go to see a bunch of houses. And then when I would have conversations with them about things that were unique to the zip code or unique to this type of house, they would pick up on it like, oh, you sound like you know a lot about houses.
Yeah. Immediately you look like the local expert.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I did is just I went to I went inside as many houses as I could, talked to as many people about those houses as I could. That was the first thing I did.
I've
Second thing
I've
I did,
talked to I've talked to a lot of people and I've never heard anyone do that. Like I've never heard a realtor going around to all the open houses and just to learn. But it makes so much sense for all the reasons you just mentioned, right? You're learning your market, you're
right,
learning the little nuances, you're learning that, this neighborhood is different than this neighborhood in what ways, and so you're really kind of like learning your territory in a quick and efficient manner.
right, yes. And that's something that now I tell people who call me and say, hey, Zap, I want to get my real estate license. I say, okay, here's what you can do while you're working on your classes. Go to as many open houses as possible and wherever you live, right? Or the surrounding zip codes where you live, because now you will absolutely stand out from everybody else. The minute you pass the test and get your license, no one else is going to have done that. Zero people,
Mm,
right, are going to have done that,
mhm.
and you will. And just the confidence and knowledge that you have about the houses in your area are going to skyrocket, right? You're going to just learn so many things and terms, and again, talking to realtors and neighbors, they're going to say things like, oh yeah, Green Elementary is different than McKenzie Elementary because the principal grew up like you're just going to learn like nuanced things that really make you stand out. And so that's one huge thing.
Mm.
And kind of
Yeah,
on
I
a
love it.
similar note, I would go to home inspections, right? I think that's something that is good because that helps you learn about what's behind the walls and systems and HVAC and plumbing and paint structure and termites and radon and vermin, rats. Like you learn all these terms that you just don't learn in high school or college that home inspectors are using. And so I would just ask people like, hey, I know you're an escrow. Do you mind if I swing by and chat with the home inspector, or can I go to the home inspection that you have? And I would try to go to those. And again, I would just keep learning more and more. And so that was
Yeah,
something that really helped
I
me.
love that. It's a great little crash course.
Yes, absolutely.
Any thoughts on that before we start kind of talking about how you leveled up from there?
Um, Yeah, I think the thought is as I mean, this is kind of for more for new people. There's also stuff you can do as a seasoned agent, but if you're newer or you're not doing these things, like all they can do is help you. So I think kind of the big point one is just think about who you can be around that you want to learn from and serve them. And then the second thing is, there's a multitude of things you could be doing instead of just kind of sitting around. Like get out of the house and go see houses, go talk to people, meet people. Now when I do that, I door knock. So I might visit an open house as an agent now. Visit an open house, still talk to the agent, still do those things that I did when I was new, but I'll also door knock and say, hey, I was just at your neighbor's open house here. Looks like their home's for sale. What do you think about the neighborhood? And chit chat. And if they're like, don't talk to me, I don't want to talk to you. Cool, no problem. Just asking, just visiting. But most people are relatively friendly. And then if you can just have a 2 to 3 minute conversation, then you can work your way into what I call the script, which is like, have you ever thought about selling your house? And then see if they say yes or no, or do you know anyone who's thought about selling their house in this area? And then
Mm-hmm.
work that. And again, there's one particular duplex that I did that. I was looking for a buyer at an open house, door knock next door, met this lady who said, I asked the question, have you ever thought about selling? She goes, oh yeah, I'm gonna move in about a year. I go, oh, okay, where are you moving to? Arizona. Oh, that's awesome. So fast forward a year later, I kept in touch, right? Fast forward a year later, I ended up buying her place. It was a duplex, remodeling it. So, bought it, remodeled it, flipped it, sold it, helped her move, got part of that commission. Like I probably made like $200,000 or $300,000 off of just this one door knock. And so you just never know what you're going to run into if you just get out there and do stuff.
Yeah. $200,000 door knock makes door
Yeah.
knocking sound a lot more appealing, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
Okay, cool. So, what about how else are you generating business, or what tips would you give for, just growing your business from that early stage to how you leveled up?
Yeah. So a couple things for growing the business is, once you are have good habits and processes, which I guess I could talk about that. Well, the best way to grow a business is to have processes. So it's not what you necessarily just like what you do once. It's what your habits are, right? I ask people like, tell me about your habits in real estate, and they usually look at me like I'm speaking French. And I go, no, like when you wake up in the morning, what are your real estate habits? When you work through the day, do you have a habit of going to open houses every week? Do you have a habit of calling your SOI? Do you have a habit of sending, um, you know, uh, flyers or mailers out for just sold, just listed? Like, tell me your habits, right? And most people don't have any habits. So I think the kind of the first start of growing your business is to think, what do I want to be known for? What are my habits? What am I gonna do constantly? What are my processes and habits? And that usually solves 70% of all realtors lead generation problems or business growing problems is getting the processes in. I was just eating Rick Preciado. He owns the Chick-fil-A in La Mesa, and we're friends, good friends. And when I chat with him and I think about, he has mostly 17 to 20-year-olds working that Chick-fil-A off of Fletcher Parkway in La Mesa. And it's not because 17, 18-year-olds are like good at running businesses, but because he has so many processes lined up at that Chick-fil-A that it makes it simple for a teenager to be the cashier or to cook the chicken or to,
Mm,
open it up or close it or count the money. Like these are teenagers, right? These are young people doing that. And so, but he has so much process baked into what he's doing, for the business, it works good. So I think a lot of realtors kind of their first miss is they're winging it. They're like, well,
mm.
like what's happening today? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing today. Like they have no process. So I think that's for me to grow my business. It was step one was to have a process. And
Okay,
also,
so
yeah, go
so
ahead.
let's talk about that a little deeper. So I like that. What are your real estate habits? So let's start thinking about that. And guys, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. We're going to start getting into the nitty gritty here. But Zap, talk to us about maybe your habits or your team's habits or things like that.
Yeah. So one of the things that I got from Sam when I first joined Big Block was a habit of going to training. Right. So at the time, Sam was doing the Tuesday, Thursdays here at Big Block in the office. And I would go to those trainings and I would listen in on those trainings. And I just say, that's in my schedule because I knew I needed to learn. Right. I knew
Mm,
Sam was a good business person and I wanted to learn about business. And so I had to go to the trainings and there are hour-ish trainings and maybe I might pick one or two nuggets from each training, but those nuggets add up to a 24-piece meal, so to speak. And so I would just learn those nuggets and consistently schedule that in training. Another thing I would do for processes for me, getting started, and I still do it, is I would have a role play, right? I would say, okay, I want to role play um, every week or every, day for half an hour a day, an hour a day, 3 hours a day, whatever it is. And I would role play, I would have 5 or 6 different types of role play. So I would have a role play for, I'm going to have an open house and I want to role play myself hosting the open house. So I'd ask, either coworkers, colleagues, my wife, I'd have my brother and sister, my mom and dad help. I would say, okay, pretend like you're coming to 2233 Capistrano Way, unit number 13 in Chula Vista, California, and ask me a bunch of questions. And so they would ask me questions like, hey, is there a movie theater nearby? And I'm like, yeah, there's an AM freeways here. Like, is that a toll road? How do you how do you pay for that? And then have to, oh shoot, I don't know. And then have to go research it, right? So I would just have these role plays happening depending on what I was doing. So open house would be a role play. I would role play if I was going to go door knocking, I go, okay, let me role play the door knocking. I'd have people pretend to be nice and mean and ask me questions. I would role play if I had a listing appointment. I'd say, okay, let's role play that listing appointment. So I just have a list of role plays that I was weaving in and out of. And obviously, the tendency is to role play the things you're good at. You should really be role playing the things that you're not good at. So I haven't done a
very
listing
true.
yeah, if you haven't done a listing appointment in 8 months, you should be role playing that. Because the minute someone calls you and says, hey, can you list my house? And you're like scrambling to remember what you say in a listing appointment, that's no good. So really role play what you're not good at, but consistently role play what you're good at. So that was one thing I think that helped my business grow, helped my processes as well. And then kind of on that same note, I really try to, and I kind of bake it in my schedule to attend a weekly, at least an hour informational thing. So it could be collective coaching, it could be NAR, CAR, SDAR, CRMLS seminar. I've been jumping on this thing called Tax Tuesdays because I'm really looking at helping my current clients be wise about their home tax situation, and so I'm partnering with some attorneys to do that. That's just personal that I'm working on right now, but so I'm into that and learning all of the different tax codes and things you can do as a homeowner, right? So I can bring value to my current clients that are homeowners and say, hey, did you know that you can rent your home to a business for 14 days out of the year and not have to claim that income as taxable? A of the Internal Revenue Code, and they go, no, I didn't know that. So I'm teaching them these things. I'm again being valuable to my current clients, so they tell their friends about that. So again, that's baked into my process. Is I need to be learning something about how taxes and home ownership work together, how refinancing and home ownership work together, so that I can be of value to my current my current clients, those who bought homes from me before.
I love that. So regular trainings, that's an easy one, guys. You're on one right now. Just come on the collective coaching call every week. We have top producers, we have top marketers, we have industry leaders. So that's a great way to learn. And like you said, if you just take one little nugget each time, after 6 months to a year, you got yourself a 24-piece meal.
Right.
Business is looking good. The other thing is the role play. I really like what you said about role play. If you're going into a listing presentation, just run through it with someone real quick. And to your point, have them ask those random questions like, "Oh, what's the school in the neighborhood?" Or, "Oh, is there, like you said, movie theater, a park, a playground?" And that'll just get you in the rhythm of dealing with questions in real time and just getting better at your presentation over time.
Right.
So I love that. And then what about like outreach and touching base with your clients?
Yeah, great question. So I have a system. I wish I had it up. I would screen share, but I work with my marketing and videographer manager. He's super organized, super great. JB is his name. Shout out to him. Love, love
JB.
what he does. Yeah, shout out to JB. So what he did is essentially built a scheduler for me for when we're going to release content. And so mixed in that scheduler is things like hey, Joe, Joe Smith, his 1 year home buying anniversary is coming up March 30th. We're going to replay the testimonial video that we did with him and also highlight, congratulations, Joe and Jane, you've been homeowners for a year. So it's just a
Nice.
structured, template, if you will, of outreach to do that. And on that same note, for everyone who buys a house, I typically send them a welcome home letter, the day after they close escrow. I send them another letter a month into their home ownership. I schedule on my calendar, hey, give them a call right after that letter. Hey, did you get the letter? Cool. How's it going your first month of home ownership? And usually they're surprised, like, man, it's been a month already? That's crazy. It's so fast. And then again, if it's appropriate, I'll weave in there like, that's awesome. Anybody else, thinking about moving? And I'll talk about things like, oh, we got our buyer workshop coming up, because I do have a buyer workshop next week. So when I make this call, I'm going to mention, hey, I got a buyer workshop next week, just in case, you moving brought up conversation with someone else who's thinking about moving. And, sometimes it'll click. They'll go, oh yeah, my cousin was thinking about moving, but he's in Idaho though. And I'm like, okay, let's chat. I help people in Idaho. And so that's nice too, to kind of weave in these checkpoints, if you will, of clients. Because I think the big thing that most people do is they'll meet someone, whether it's at an open house or a friend or family or referral. They'll help them through a transaction. They'll help them buy a house. They'll close escrow. They'll shake their hand, give them the key, maybe give them a gift, and they'll like on to the next one, right? I tell my team we start our process at the close of escrow. Escrow is just like that's stretching before the soccer game, right? The game is between the close of escrow and 30 years from now, because that one client, if you treat them well, if you keep in touch with them, again, we do a month check-in, we do a 6-month check-in, we do a 1-year check-in. I do a 2-year check-in because that's when they can sell their house without capital gains if they've lived there. And I tell them that, right? I just checked in with one recent client, again, just to check in. And it turns out he's like, hey, I just got engaged. I know it's random. And I know I just bought a house 7 months ago, but we're gonna be moving to Pennsylvania. And so I'm gonna get his listing. And I know so many agents that, stop talking to their clients after they close escrow and they lose out on that stuff. So I've helped multiple clients move, within 2 years from the time that they bought the house, just because I stayed in touch. So all of this is, again, is systematic, and it helps, help stay in touch. I also reach out for people's birthdays. So I have a birthday card that I send people, typically a birthday, either call or video, depending on, who they are. And then I'll do an anniversary if they're married. I ask them that actually up front. So part of my process when they're a buyer or seller is in the questionnaire that I send them. I said, hey, when's your anniversary? And they'll say, oh, I got married on whatever, June 1st. Okay, cool. I put it in my calendar. I make sure I'm texting or calling on their anniversary and letting them know and celebrating them. And if I'm close enough with them, which typically all my clients, I'm Facebook friends or Instagram friends, I'll comment, hey, happy anniversary on their Instagram, on their IG or their Facebook. And I learned that trick too, because when you do that, people who know them, who don't know you, will be like, oh, who's that guy? Like, how did you meet that? That's my realtor. Oh, that's cool. Your
Yeah.
realtor remembered your anniversary. And then it's like, yeah. So yeah, again, I just have a list of things that I'm going to do, from, physical paper mailings to digital pushes on social media to phone calls, text messages. And it just stacks up, right? The more clients I have, the more I'm doing.
Hmm. I love that. I love a bunch of stuff you just said there. Number one is that you're looking at it like a 30-year relationship, and that the real relationship starts after that first close. I think that's a really awesome way to look at it. And I think that that's a mindset shift that a lot of agents need to make. Is it's really not about this transaction. It's about all those next transactions and all the referrals that you can get from that one relationship. Um, Two, I love the 2-year check-in, because that's when they can sell their home with no capital gains, which one, they probably either don't know or have forgotten about. So it's a perfect time to check in. Um, Two, you're adding value. Again, it's like, hey, you're not just calling for no reason to ask for business. You're calling, hey, great news. Just wanted to let you know, if you were thinking about doing something, now you can do it without paying taxes. And now all of a sudden you're in dialogue about real estate. So really love that. We also did a really awesome collective call, which you guys can find in the library, with Molly Winkle on setting up a 12-month calendar. And her whole approach is set, like Zap said, putting those events on the calendar and then just calling around those events. Like, hey, I'm doing a garage sale next month. I'm just calling to let everybody know. Or, hey, I'm doing a beach bonfire or whatever it is. A pool party, things like that, client parties. And now you always have a reason to call on those people. So check those out for sure. Also, if you guys have any questions while we're live, just put them in the box below, and we'll get to all those. But yeah, what else, Zap? Let's keep going. I feel like you're doing some awesome tips here.
Yeah. So one thing you mentioned with Molly's calendar, I love that. I actually went through Molly's class where she kind of really dives deep into that, which is great. And then yeah, please watch that collective coaching call with Molly. She's great. One thing I'll do with people, as far as, and this is great, you can do this as a new agent too, is if you have a listing, or if you even don't have a listing and you're just hosting the open house, you can call your SOI. So let's say you're a new agent, you don't have any past clients, and let's say you're doing an open house in Mira Mesa, California, in San Diego. You can look through your Rolodex, look through your phone, right? I'm old. Look through your phone and see who is who you know in Mira Mesa, and you can say, hey, I just thinking about you because I want to be in your neighborhood this Saturday between 1 and 4 at 123 Mira Mesa Boulevard, hosting an open house. I just thought about you. Feel free to swing by and say hi if you want, whatever it is. And then that gives you kind of an excuse, a reason to call those people, because a lot of times I talk to people, especially on my team, that will say, oh, it feels weird just to call someone and say, hey, do you want to sell a house? Or hey, have you thought about buying or selling? It just feels uncomfortable. Like I don't have a real reason to call them. And so if you are hosting open houses, that's a reason to call people that you know, or text, or even, message, DM to say, hey, doing real estate, right? It just puts them top of mind, puts you top of mind to them. And then two, if you do that 100 times, one of those people is going to say, you know what? I got a question for you about real estate. And probably, I
Mhm.
think it was Mike Cuevas that said, 14% of everyone you know is moving this year, right? If you know 100 people, 14 people are moving, but 100% of someone they know is moving, right? So
Yeah.
it's not just about, reaching out to the people that you're reaching out to, but it's about letting them know, hey, in case you know someone that's moving, or you know someone who wants to come to Mira Mesa or move to Mira Mesa, send them my way. I'd love to help them out. And I think consistently, again, I think Chick-fil-A process, if you consistently do this, then it's inevitable. You're going to run into people who are going to call you and say, yeah, I do know someone who's moving, or hey, I do want to talk to you about, the interest rates, or maybe refinancing, or selling my home and buying a new home, or buying an investment property. Um, so yeah, that's I just wanted to bring that up as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. Maritza says this is so awesome. Thank you, Maritza. Appreciate the feedback. Anyone else has props to give? Go ahead and drop them in the chat or questions. We'll take those live. One thing I'd also like you to share, Zap, is that I know you do something really cool for your clients and people in your sphere for their birthdays. And maybe that's the video you mentioned earlier, but can you just kind of share that strategy? Because I think it's a really cool strategy what you're doing there.
Yeah, so a strategy that we use is I will record a personalized birthday video. Is I in that video, I just film myself. And again, if you're new, you can just grab your phone and record yourself. Or I have a little bit fancier. I have a videographer, JB. He helps me record and we do it. But again, you don't need a lot of money or a lot of time. You can simply record a video and say, hey Oliver, what's going on at Zap? I know it's your birthday today. Want to wish you a happy birthday. Hope you and the wife and the kids are great. Hopefully you get to surf today. Maybe get a little, surf action in. Have an awesome birthday, right? And then I send that video, message that video to the person, and then let's say that the birthday's today, March 19th. On March 30th, or the end of the month, I'd send another follow-up video that says like, "Hey Oliver, how's it going at Zap? Hope you had a great birthday month, man. I can't believe the month's already over. Hey, just a quick question for you, or just a quick ask. As you know, I'm in real estate. If you know anyone that's thinking about buying or selling a house, I'd love to help them out. So just keep me in mind. And again, hope you had a great birthday month, right? So it's a two-pronged approach. You send them the birthday video, and then you send them a follow-up video, usually at the end of the month. Just the ask, right? Like, hey, I'm here. I'm in real estate. Let me know if you know anyone who could do it. And I can't count how many times I've done that. And people, the birthday video is designed so that you're just there and you're just thinking of, happy birthday, right? It's not designed to sell anything or do anything.
Yep.
It's the follow-up video that, the last time they saw a video of you, it was special, it was personal, it was for your birthday. So the second at it again, they'll message and let you know. I remember watching in my master's program, watching this case study where they talked about waiters or waitresses that give some kind of gift right before they give the check. So
Mm.
a certain person do everything, and then they'll be like, "Oh, here's some mints," or "Oh, here's a coupon for $5 off next time you come back," or whatever it is. And then they said when they do that versus when they don't do that, the tip is like double because
Mm.
you're giving them something right before you're asking for something. So it's just kind of a psychological thing where you're giving them props on their birthday, you're giving them attention, you're thanking them, and then again, you just come back a couple weeks later and ask for something, and they're way more generous about giving you what you're asking for.
Love that. Yeah, what an awesome strategy. Hopefully everyone wrote that down. If you guys have any questions on exactly how Zap is doing that, or anything specific, let us know in the chat. But what a great strategy, man. That's very cool. And something that like I can pretty much guarantee you that nobody else is doing, right? Your competition isn't doing that. So it's those little things that you can do to set yourself apart, to stand out, to make people feel special. That is the difference between getting, 3 referrals next year and getting 30 referrals next year.
Right.
So, back to the point on multiplying your referrals and whatnot. So just putting the bow on the habits part of the conversation. You've got your training in there, you've got your role play in there, you've got your check-ins, your phone calls. Do you have any sort of a like daily prospecting routine or anything like that in terms of like number of calls or number of outreaches that you're doing every day in terms of like the habit part?
Yeah, that's a great question. And this is something I need to even work on more. It's a catch 22. So at this point in my career, I that I can be, I hate to use this word so much, but I can be a little lazy about my outbound prospecting
Mm,
because my inbound is pretty consistent
right.
with prospecting. But again, this is one of those like do as I say, not as I do type of things because I would say, yeah, as far as the schedule goes, I like to start my day like early in the day, kind of 7 a.m. ish to 9 a.m. That is to me where I usually practice my role play and do my research and reading and studying about what's happening in the market, what's happening around my listings, around where my buyers are looking, because you typically get the least amount of phone calls or emails or distractions between 7 and 9, 9 to 10 a.m. So that's when I like to do that part of the day as far as structuring the day. And then between 9 to noon, it really, if you don't have business, you really should be prospecting. So if you have no listings active, you have no buyers that you're actively working to show them a house during that time, you really should be prospecting to meet, to meet new buyers, to meet potential new sellers during that time. And again, I talked about SOI. That's really what I'm big on is my own sphere of influence, my own past clients, my own people that I know. But prospecting can come in the form of visiting a business or businesses again in the zip code that you live in and just say, hey, I'm visiting businesses. I'm a real estate agent. I just want to get to know business owners. What kind of business do you do? And that can be prospecting because again, the business owner, you might talk to 50 of them and they go, that's nice. Thanks for coming by. But you might
Hmm.
learn something, or you might take the discussion you had and then leverage that in a open house in that same area. Oh yeah, I
Hmm.
was talking to John. He owns a tire shop, blah, blah, blah. And now you look again like a community expert. And again, just by pure numbers, if you go out and say, hey, between 9 and noon, I'm prospecting. And Monday, it's businesses. Tuesday, it's past clients. Wednesday, it's people who I've met at open houses that I want to follow up with. Thursday, it's this group. And Friday, it's the people, I'm going to go door knock out in front of an open house I'm going to host. That could be your schedule 9 to noon or 9 to 1 daily. You should be prospecting. Again, if you don't have business. If you have business, obviously you have to take care of the business that you have as far as current escrows, current buyers, current sellers, listings. But yeah, for those of you who are like, yeah, I got one listing and that's it. Or I got one buyer and that's it. I would say between 9 and noon, get out prospecting. I like to go to lunch in the middle of the day. And the best lunch is to grab someone that, if you can afford it, go to lunch with someone who you want to talk to, right? Say like, hey, Oliver, can I take you out to lunch and talk about, let's say I want to be a podcaster. Again, here comes the serving. Hey, can I jump in your schedule and take you to, what's your favorite taco shop? What's your favorite fish taco place, whatever? And then I go, can I take you there? And then I get to have that conversation with you at lunch. So again, for new agents, if you can do it, grab lunch with someone who you want to learn from or who you want to prospect, right? So that could
Hmm.
be the attorney, that could be the CPA, that could be a contractor, right? That could be an investor that you're trying to, prospect because you want to earn their business and
Yep.
list flips, right?
Yep.
Give the lunch. Every human being I know likes to eat. And so if you can ask them, where would you want to eat? Let's go there. And then you take them to lunch. That can be helpful as well. So that's kind of the lunch thing. And then in the afternoon, I like to try to stack my day in the morning. So in the afternoons, I can get the return calls. I can have the longer conversations. in the afternoon. And then I use that time also for any kind of workshop for education, because typically there's a lot of like, 3 to 5 or 4 to 6 SDCIA or meetups or things like that,
Yeah.
socials. And so use that kind of second half and latter part of the day to attend those socials. And again, don't just show up to the socials and have a drink and talk to your buddy that you came with. You gotta go meet strangers, right? You gotta be a big kid and meet strangers. And then again, think about how you can give value to those people that you're meeting um, while you're
Love
there.
that. Love that. Yeah, what a great approach. What a great way to set up your day. And what a great mindset in terms of like how you're approaching the business. Um, so now let's talk a little bit about USPs. What's your USP? And then we can talk about how people can develop their own unique selling proposition to kind of stand out.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm a little unique, which is cool in the sense that when people say like, how are you different than everybody else? One of the things I can bring up is, I've probably been inside of more houses than any person in San Diego. And then that kind of leads to the question, why? It's like, well, I was on the SWAT team and I went from kicking down doors to go inside houses to now I actually use a lockbox, right? And that's unique, right? And that's kind of
Uh,
an eye opener, like a little conversation starter. And then for people who think it's cool, we go into it. People who don't care, who cares that I'm still memorable, right? I don't know
right.
how many guys on the SWAT team Oliver, but probably not a lot, right?
Yeah. Well, a
So,
perfect way to just leverage your story to stand out,
right. Yeah,
which
exactly.
is what we can all do in our own different ways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, so that's kind of unique. I was blessed to again, I went to school here, went to college in San Diego, here, and worked for the city of San Diego here. So that's really unique. I before that I worked for the FBI, so I was a hostage negotiator. I lived in Washington, D.C., worked for the FBI there. So these are all unique things that I can weave into the conversation that will make me stand out. But
Yeah.
I want to address some unique things that, because most people are not going to be able to do that. I want to do some things that are helpful. And I'll tell you a story. So I got a call. This was Thanksgiving of last year, so 4 or 5 months ago. I was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, doing some investing there and prepping to buy a home there. And while I was there, I got a call from someone that said, "Hey, you have a listing in I think it was La Mesa. We're interested in." And they started talking to me, and they were buyers, and they lived in Northern California, outside of Stockton, California. And they said, hey, we just want to see your house. Like basically, they just wanted to have me show them the place, right? And this is Thanksgiving weekend, right? Like Friday or Wednesday of Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving. So I was out of town, and I was like, okay, well, I'm out of town, but let me, see how I can help you get in there. And then I asked them some basic questions like, what's your timeline? What's your price point? What's your size and style that you're looking for? Are you working with a realtor? And why do you want to buy a house? And so in that conversation, they brought up, well, we've talked to Team Z, we've talked to Porchlight. Like they were actually naming people I knew, realtors that they talked to for different listings in that area that they wanted to go see. So
Hmm.
I knew that they, I had competition, good competition, right? People that have been in the industry that are top producers in this city. And I asked the question, I said, how long have you lived in your current home? And they said something like, well, we've lived in our home for 35, 40 years. Whatever they said, it triggered me to know that they were over 55 years old, right? And so I politely asked, I said, oh, just curious, do you happen to be over 55? And they said, yes. And I said, okay, well, two things come to mind. Has anyone talked to you about the 55 plus communities in San Diego? And
Mm.
she said, no one's even mentioned that. And I said, okay, and has anyone talked to you about Proposition 19 since you live in California? And she goes, no. And so I proceeded to explain to her 55 plus communities and the benefits of Proposition 19, which you can Google, but in short, Proposition 19 is you can move from your house to a new house and keep your property tax basis and not have an increase in property taxes. So I explained that to her, and she said, you're the first person that has, she's like, I've been talking to 6, 7, 8 realtors. You're the first person that even mentioned this, right? And so now I'm unique, right? My unique selling proposition is I'm going to make sure I save you money after the transaction. And again, I always focus on after the transaction, not just the transaction, but how can I be valuable to you after the transaction? And so that earned me her business, and I was able to
Mhm.
close escrow and get her in a house. So I say that because if you are a new or experienced realtor and you learn things like, let me learn everything that has to do with 55 plus people, because a lot of people buying houses are 55 or 56 or older, right?
Yep.
If you
Yep.
say, gosh, let me really study and niche down into what it is like to be a military spouse or military husband or wife purchasing their first home in Southern California, and you learn terms like BAH, you learn terms like, you understand things about the military so that it makes sense to you and you can communicate that, you're going to stand out. That's going to be unique to you versus other real estate agents. And again, if you're at the open house, if you're meeting someone at dinner, friend of a friend, and you can have this conversation, you will stand out from every other realtor that's just a regular realtor that says, I work hard. You can call me anytime. I'm here for you. I'm going to fight for for your right. I'm going to represent you. Like everybody does that, right? But if you can really
Hmm.
niche down into some things that stand out, and again, kind of circling back to the whole, if you can say the words or say the phrase, I have seen 100 this month, I've been in 100 different houses in San Diego because this is my process. On top of it. And before you make a decision to hire a realtor, ask them that. Say, how many houses have you been into this month? And what's going to be
Hmm.
great is they're going to go, no other realtor's done that except you, right? And now you're unique, even though you're
Yeah.
brand new. And you can say, yeah, ask every realtor that you talk to, how many houses have you been inside this month? And see if they say anything less than 100. If it's less than 100, then it's less than what I've done. And then you can stand out like that. So these are things you
Yeah.
can really stand out whether you're new or not.
And what an easy thing to do, right? Just go, you're already out in the field, you're already doing things, you're already should be previewing properties in your market.
Yeah.
So just, leveraging those different activities to stand out is an easy way for, to be unique. So I love that. What a great and simple way to show up as the local expert. And you can do the same thing with businesses. You just door knock the businesses on Main Street in whatever city you're in and just start getting to know the business owners, maybe offer to shoot a video about their business and do it on social media. There's just lots of different ways that you can go about doing that. And then any sort of like random expertise, right? Maybe you're into feng shui and you can offer a feng shui consultant see after they move in, or to your point earlier about taxes, there's different things that you can do. I know like our title rep here, Ryan Lipsey, he offers a yearly pack that you can take to everyone that you've sold a home to that shows their tax basis, any reassessments, and you can look at that to find little opportunities on, oh, maybe I can save them money if they just make these few adjustments, things like that, just different things to be different, to stand out. It is a great way. And as the market continues to shift, it's going to be more mandatory being able to stand out and show your value and things like that. um
Exactly. And can I jump in and give you props that you reminded me when you talked about them going to businesses and making a video. One of the unique selling propositions that I've dug into to really stand out is working with nonprofit organizations. And luckily my wife has a nonprofit, so it's kind of cool. I can see how it works, from the internals. But I've learned about nonprofits and learned about, how the board works and how voting works and how decisions are made, and have been able to help a handful of nonprofits purchase and sell and even do leases for commercial property here in San Diego. But I want to give you props, Oliver, because how a lot of that started is, I took a training with you and you said, hey, you can make a video, put it on YouTube, mention the business's name and basically like give props and help the business grow their business. So I actually did that with a nonprofit here in San Diego, made that video. Again, they share it, right? Because it's about them.
yep.
And I'm in it. And so people are asking, who's that guy? And I'm like, oh, that's our realtor, right? And then I've gotten business from that nonprofit. And in that nonprofit's, I think I've helped them buy 2 or 3 different houses and help referrals that they've given me by another 4 or 5 different houses. So simply that one video, that one YouTube video by helping that nonprofit make a video and then pushing it and using keywords in YouTube so that they get more views, that has just turned into more business as well. So thank you. I just want
Love that.
to give you props.
Love that. No, I'm glad to hear that's working and the cool thing about videos like that is they never stop working, right?
Yeah,
Like
keep
there's
working for you.
there's probably not a lot of videos on the internet about that particular charity. And so anyone that searches that particular charity is most likely going to find your video. And then like Zap said, now you're inexplicably linked to that charity. And it's a great way for more referrals.
Yes.
So, hey guys, any questions on any of the stuff we've covered today? Drop them in the box. I see Angie's got a question here. How do we help them take advantage of Prop 19? Do they go about the process with their accountant after close of escrow, or is it something weaved into the contract like a 1031 exchange?
Ooh, excellent question. So I'll give it, if you, again, the easiest way to do this is if you go to Google and type Prop 19, you'll do it. But actually the Board of Equalization has a Prop 19 fact sheet. And so I'll put it in the actual chat here if I can. Let me see if I can put the link in the chat.
Awesome.
Um, where is the,
And while he's doing that, if anybody has any thoughts about, new habits that you guys are going to implement into your business, new things that you're going to try, new different approaches to your USP, or if you just want to share any type of USPs that you guys have right now that are working, we'd love to hear that. So keep that stuff in the chat for us.
okay. So I'm having problems finding the chat, but I'm trying to think how to do this. Um, I guess.
We'll attach it to the YouTube video when it comes
Perfect.
out. How about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, but the Board of Equalization is who you're gonna be dealing with, and they have an actual like step-by-step how to handle the Prop 19. But in short, the actual buyer needs to reach out to the Board of Equalization with some information, but you just need to help your buyer have the, basically the title or closing information from the house that they're selling in one part of California, the, title and closing information, settlement statements for the house that they're buying, and wherever they're moving to in California. Make sure they have both of those documents, and then the buyer slash seller will send those documents to the Board of Equalization, and that way they can make sure that their taxes in the house, the new house that they bought, aren't increased. Basically, they'll get either like reimbursed or they'll adjust it so that it's the same tax basis. But Board of Equalization
Amazing.
is the
Yeah,
interest.
what a great tip. So hopefully that cleared up the question for you. If there's anything else, let us know. One question I like to wrap with, Zap, is in 60 seconds or less, what does it take to be a great realtor in today's environment?
In 60 seconds or less. So I would say three things. The first thing to be a great realtor is you have to be knowledgeable, right? So many people get their license and they don't know. And when I say knowledgeable, it's not about you pass the test, but you're a good realtor. And a good realtor knows about the market. A good realtor knows about things like Prop 19. A good realtor has knowledge of the law, right? So educate yourself constantly on what things a realtor should know. The second thing is good relationships. So knowledge number one, relationships number two. So many times I've gotten transactions from relationships, and not just from referrals, but people will talk to me and I'll talk about how I know open escrow and type title, and how I know uh, people who do home inspections and things like that. And so I'm talking about the relationships I have, and that helps people trust me and say, oh, wow, he's really connected.
Mm,
And then the third thing I say is, you got to let people know what you're doing, right? You gotta make sure that you're out on social media, you're talking about what you're doing, you're demonstrating what you're doing, not in a show off way, but in a celebratory way, right? It's so nice
mhm.
to celebrate your clients closing an escrow, to celebrate someone you helped buy a property out of state, to celebrate a relationship with another realtor that you worked with to help close an escrow that maybe was difficult. So definitely you have to have knowledge, you have to have relationships, and you have to be out there letting people know what you're doing.
I love it. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. There's the formula. Zap, man, really appreciate your time today. I think this has been an extremely informative call. There's lots of nuggets that they can take to fill up their 24 piece.
Right.
If you guys want to connect with Zap, where can they find you?
Let's eat. Yeah, I think the best place, the best place to connect with me is going to be probably on Instagram at Zap Disco. I used to be a DJ and DJ disco music back in the day. So at Zap Disco, that's where that came from.
Nice.
ZAPDISCO. But you can also jump on for real estate related things. MartinGroupSD.com. That's our team website. Martin Group SD. That's insane.
Awesome. And to get on the next live call, check the links in the description below. And as always, if you like money and you like real estate, hit that subscribe button because this is the show for you. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks, Zap.
Thank you.